The world's best amateur and professional poker players gather at Binion's Horseshoe Hotel and Casino in Las Vegas to compete for $750,000 of prize money. This is Kurt Gowdy, inviting you to see who will be crowned the new poker champion. I promise you suspense, excitement, and the most colorful sports event on television at the 12th Annual World Series of Poker.
From Las Vegas, where the world's best amateur and professional poker players have gathered for the 12th Annual World Series of Poker. With your host, Kurt Gowdy.
Hello, everybody. This is Kurt Gowdy from Binion's Horseshoe, downtown Las Vegas, Nevada, for the 12th Annual World Series of Poker. And they're here from Texas to New York, from California to Alaska, from overseas, all here, both men and women, to determine who'll be the new World Poker Champion and big bucks at stake. We'll be back here in Binion's Horseshoe in downtown Las Vegas as the 12th Annual World Series of Poker continues. Hi, everybody. I'm Kurt Gowdy with world-class poker player Bobby Baldwin to continue our coverage of the 12th Annual World Series of Poker, Binion's Horseshoe, downtown Las Vegas. And we're getting to the big event now, the No Limit Hold'em. What is Hold'em? Explain it to some of the viewers here, Bobby.
Well, No Limit Hold'em is one of the most popular forms of poker. We use it to determine the world champion each year. Each player in this game plays with chips instead of money. The red chips are worth $1,000, the grays $500, and the blacks $100. Now remember, this is high poker. The highest hand wins, starting with a straight flush, four of a kind, flush beats a straight, two pair beats one pair, and so forth. Each player antes $200, and there are multiple blind bets which force the action on each deal. So actually, each player is involved in each and every hand and in every deal. They act on their hand in turn clockwise according to where the dealer's button is located. They exercise their option to bet, check, or fold according to their location to the button. Each player starts the hand when they receive their first two downed cards. Later, the dealer will turn up the flop, the first three cards in the center of the table. Followed by a round of betting, the dealer will turn a fourth card and a fifth and final card. Now remember, this is a game of skill, endurance, and luck.
And it takes a lot of heart to play no-limit poker. Now, a lot of the players play limit games. Well, in no limit, if you win 15 pots in a row and make a mistake on the 16th, you'll be in the bleachers and the rest of the players will still be playing.
We had 75 original entries. They each had to put up $10,000, so there's $750,000 in prize money, and the winner goes away with $375,000. You won the World Championship in '78. That's a big payoff.
Oh, yes. The tournament grows and grows each year. For instance, in '78, when I won it, there was $420,000 in total prize money. I received half of that money, or $210. So it's almost double since '78.
Nice to be with a wealthy man. You better get back to the table. You're in action. And No Limit Hold'em's in progress, and let's join the action. Now remember, the first place winner gets half, or $375,000, but the top 9 players will be in the money. Second place finisher takes $150,000, the third place $75,000. It goes on down to the 9th finisher who gets $15,000. So 9 players can really win over their entry fee. All right, we've got the antes in, and here comes the flop up now on this hand. Let's take a look at that flop. 9 of clubs, a 7 of spades, and a 3 of clubs. Stu Ungar has called Bill Smith's bet of $2,500. Here's the veteran, Sam Moon from El Paso. He's a produce farmer, and he's deciding what to do. He's going to call the $2,500, and also he is going to raise now. Doesn't have a lot of chips left, and he wants to build that pot up. and he has raised $7,000. The players in back of him are folding, and Bill Smith has called it. Stu Ungar folds. He's the defending champ. So up will come the fourth card now, or what they call 4th Street. And the fourth card is the 10 of hearts. That doesn't help anybody. Bill Smith has checked to Sam Moon, who has an ace of spades and a 9 of spades in the hole. There's a 9 on the board, so he has a pair of 9s. And Bill Smith has a pair of jacks in the hole. And he now is coming on with a bet. $16,000 he has called from Sam Moon, and Moon is all in. If he doesn't win this hand, he's out of the World Series of Poker. We'll see what the 5th card brings. Right now, the best hand is Bill Smith's pair of jacks. And the 4 of hearts does not help Sam Moon. Bill Smith wins the hand with a pair of jacks over a pair of 9s. Sam Moon says, "You win it. I'm out. Gentlemen, good night and good luck." And Sam Moon gets a hand, the veteran from El Paso, Texas. There's the winning hand. Well, the tension mounts and the tournament grinds on. We're down to the final table with some really top-notch players. Bobby Baldwin, my telecasting partner here, just made a bet of $2,500. That's gentleman Bill Smith folding. The man in the pink shirt is Jay Heimowitz in New York. He's an amateur, and he is calling the bet. Here is Chicago's Sam Petrillo. In the hole, he has an ace of hearts and a king of hearts. And he is not only calling, but he is raising $45,000. Bobby Baldwin, some deep study. He is the leader right now with the chips on the table of $128,000. And he is going to call. He has a pair of queens in the hole. Chicago Sam Petrillo is all in. There's the flop. All right, now we have 4th Street coming up. And that's another 8, so there are a pair of 8s on the board, but Chicago Sam must pick up an ace or a king. He doesn't do it on the 5th and final card, and Bobby Baldwin's pair of queens in the hole wins the hand. And Chicago Sam Petrillo is out of the tournament, being congratulated by Bobby. Now, he's one of the great stake players. He's done, gets a good hand. We talked to Jack Binion, the president of the Horseshoe Club, and asked him his opinion of who are the best players.
Better players because of it. You know, one thing about it, if you're not breaking par every day on the golf course, you know you can't go on the golf tour. But to know that you're the best player in poker, you have to beat the other players. It's the only way you know that you're the champion. Mm-hmm. So the best player might really be a guy playing quarter limit in Michigan in a garage somewhere.
Yeah. We'll be back here in Binion's Horseshoe in downtown Las Vegas as the 12th annual World Series of Poker continues. More action now at the World Series of Poker. By the way, there are 14 events in this tournament, including 7-card stud, low ball, and others. There's the flop you just saw, and this is developing into a very interesting hand. Perry Green, the furrier from Anchorage, Alaska, has made a $42,000 bet. Now, Bobby Baldwin is trying to decide what he's going to do, and he is going to call the $42,000. And let's see, he is also going to make a big raise here. $86,000 raise. He has in the hole a pair of 9s. So now we're getting some real chips on the table. Now Perry Green, very interesting character. Plays poker with the Eskimos up there in Alaska, and he has $40,000 committed, and he has to decide what to do. Perry Green has in the hole a pair of queens, a queen of hearts and a queen of diamonds. But the flop is a 9, a 4, and a 3, so Bobby Baldwin really has 3 9s, using the 9 on the board and his pair of 9s in the hole. Well, now listen, you'd be agonizing here too with this kind of money at stake. $86,000 raise is over $200,000 on the table. Perry has shown his hole cards, his pair of queens. He's up now, and if he comes in here, he'll have to go all in. And if he loses this hand, he is out of the World Series of Poker, and I believe he's coming all in. He is. He is calling the raise of $86,000 after he originally bet $40,000 on his pair of queens in the hole. So what we'll have now is the fourth and fifth cards coming up, a showdown. The best hand going into the fourth card coming on the table in the flop is Bobby Baldwin's 3 nines, a pair of nines in the hole and a 9 on the flop. The other two cards on the flop, the 4 and the 3, don't help either one of these fellows unless something strange comes up on the fourth and fifth. So Bobby's waiting now. Remember, he won this tournament in 1978. First time I've seen a player standing up here. That's how great the tension is on Perry Green. This is another big raise that's come up now. They've evened it out. And Bobby puts his whole cards up. This is showdown now. And Baldwin's 3 nines, still the best hand. Perry has to pick up a queen. That fourth card to jack, that doesn't help anybody. The last card coming up, he got it! He got the queen, and Perry Green is the winner. His 3 queens beat Bobby Baldwin's 3 nines, and Perry Green not only stays in the tournament, but right now, after that tremendous pot, is the leader with the most chips on the table, and he can't believe it. He was standing up, I think, ready to go home back to Anchorage, Alaska. Sort of a weak smile there by Bobby, but he's been through a lot of ups and downs himself. He knows how it is. And picking up that queen on that final fifth card, of course, was against the percentages for Perry. He's ecstatic. You know, these fellows play a lot of private high-stake games. Bobby Baldwin told me that personal safety is sometimes a constant concern.
In fact, if you go down the list of the top professionals, you'll find that several of them have had the shotgun put to their head from time to time. Now, as you get a little older, and I'm not an old man yet, but I've had few mileage on me, some mileage on me, you learn to protect yourself and try not to be as vulnerable as you were when you were younger.
75 players started this tournament. Here is the dealer scrambles getting ready to shuffle. We're down to the final table. The action and the stakes are getting higher and the competition more exciting. See down at the end of the table that young man in the blue jacket, blue shirt. He's a story right now. He's a defending champ. He's only 27 years old, and right now he is in jeopardy of being knocked out of the tournament and losing the defense of his title. He's just been managing to hang in. Here comes the deal up. By the way, his name's Stu Ungar. He's supposed to be the best gin player in the world. Most of these players are very good at other games, bridge, backgammon, you name it. They all have those quick minds, great memories, and, of course, a marvelous sense of competition. There's a fold, and the players are folding. And here comes Stu Ungar now. He has to establish himself back in, and right now he is betting $23,500 in the hole. He had a pair of 5s. And the furrier from Anchorage, Alaska, Perry Green, is going to call him. Now, he's the big power boy right now. And it's all in for Stu Ungar. His entire pile of chips on the table. Perry Green has a 10 and a 9 of clubs. And the flop is coming up. Here it is. And the flop doesn't help anyone. Now, of course, Stu Ungar has to hope that doesn't help. Pair of 5, still the best hand. Green needs a 10 or a 9 to offset that pair of 5s. A pair of 5s wins. And Stu Ungar says, all right, I'm still alive. He was hanging on by his fingernails in this tournament, and now that improves himself some, and he is still in the tournament and a chance to defend his title. We'll be back with more action from the World Series of Poker here from Binion's Casino in downtown Las Vegas right after this message. Bobby, you went into the final round the leader. You got knocked out on 2 dramatic hands, being outdrawn on a queen by Perry Green, who came up with it on the 5th card, and the same thing happened to you again by Gene Fisher, and out you went. What were your reactions?
Well, that's the reason why they call the game hold'em, Kurt. Sometimes you have them, but you can't hold them. I had my money in a good situation a couple of times and got the hands beat. That's the luck factor that's in the game. I also made a few bad plays along the way, too. So combination of the two eliminated me in 7th place.
$250,000 changed hands almost on one pot.
That's right. I lost $250,000 to Mr. Green from Anchorage, Alaska on one hand. I turned 3 nines. He had a pair of queens down. The board was 9-4 tray. We shoved all the money in. The final card was a queen, making him 3 queens over my 3 nines, and he won it. But it looks like he's taking my money and put it to good use, because it looks like right now he's pounding on the rest of these players pretty heavily.
We're down to 6 players now, and Bobby Baldwin, who's been eliminated, he finished 7th, by the way, and picked up 15 grand, is now with me on the commentary. Stu Ungar has quite a pile of chips down at the end of the table. He's healthy again, Bobby.
He was down to short money just a little while ago, but he's doubled his money up 2 or 3 times now, and I believe he's in 2nd place, Kurt.
Making a bet here.
Well, they brought the pot in for $12,000, it looks like. Ken Smith folds. Perry Green's thinking there a little bit. He folds. Only one player left, Jay Heimowitz from New York.
And he's labeled an amateur.
But don't let that amateur status fool you. Jay's every bit as good a player as any professional in this tournament. Jay's called the $12,000. Let's see what happens here.
There's the flop. 10 jack and a king.
Well, it looks like Jay's going to take the lead here.
Let's take a look at his hold cards.
He's got 2 queens down. The board again is a 10 jack and a king, so he's got 2 queens, and a 9 and an ace will make him a straight.
And he's going all in. Now or never for him. I think around $38,500 he's shoving in there.
$38,500.
And here's Stu Ungar coming on, and Stu has a pair of jacks in the hole.
3 jacks using the jack on the board.
He has the best hand right now.
He's got the best hand right now. 3 jacks is the best hand over 2 queens so far. Didn't take Stewie long to call that bet, did it?
Well, he throws his jacks up to show, and they're in a showdown. A pair of queens for Jay, and he needs some help now. Here's 4th Street coming up. 4th Street, 7 of spades, no help for either player. Ungar's still the leader in this hand with 3 jacks, a 4th jack up. So he has a winning hand of 4 jack, and Jay Heimowitz is out of it.
6th place, though, not bad. $30,000 for 4 days' work.
Now, Bobby, I had a chance to talk to Jay earlier. There's a winning hand, 4 jacks for Stu Ungar. And I wanted to talk to Jay about, is it luck or is it skill in high-stake poker? Last year you were beaten by Stu Ungar and Doyle Brunson. Is it luck or is it skill in this tournament?
Well, you know, you can get breaks, but I really don't attribute anything to luck. I mean, if somebody gets a good run of cards, fine. But if you take a fellow like Doyle Brunson, for argument's sake, in the last 5 years, excluding this year, he came in first in 76, first in 77, and in 1980 he came in second. Now, how could you possibly attribute something like that to luck?
Yeah, when you have 75 entries and you play that long, excellence and skill has to level out.
No question about it.
Cream comes to the top and water to the bottom.
No
now,
question.
you're typical of a lot of these fellows. You started playing nickel and dime poker about 15 years ago. How do you graduate into the big time?
Well, you know, when I first went into business, we drew very little salary. We were drawing like $125 a week, and we're struggling along. I hadn't played poker since the Army. I started to play once a week, 25 cents and 50 cents, and I was winning $20 a week. There was a difference between my wife and I going out to dinner once a week. So I got a brainstorm. If I play twice a week, maybe we'll go out twice a week. And it just went on from there.
After Jay's elimination, we're down to 5 players. It's really tightening up now. And here's the deal coming up. Remember, the first prize in this tournament is $375,000. Now let's study this hand, Bobby Baldwin.
Well, Ken Smith's folding. Perry Green's folding. Bill Smith's betting $8,000. Looks like Stewie's going to call him. Just 2 of them in the pot, Bill Smith and Stuart Ungar, last year's defending champion.
Now the flop. There's an ace of spades, 9 of clubs, 5 of clubs.
Stewie checked it to Bill. Bill's going to bet him. $10,000 he bet. Stewie seems to be active in almost every pot in this tournament. Very aggressive player.
There's the 6 of spades in the 4th card. What's the potential here now?
All kinds of possibilities on this hand. Let's see what Stewie does here. Looks like he's going to bet him.
He's putting a squeeze on him. When you have it, you
money
put
talks.
It to him. Money talks, right?
Right. 40,000 he bet Bill. We can see here Bill's got 2 6s, a 6 and a 7 in the hole.
Well, he's really going for a straight, isn't he?
He's got a pair of 6s and trying to draw for a straight.
He needs an 8.
Needs an 8 to make it straight. He's going to bet all his money. He's called the 40,000 and raised it 15,500 more.
And Stu has a small pair, but he also can make a flush, right?
As you can see, Stewie's got the king 5 of spades, so he's got 2 5s with 4 spades. So Bill Smith's got the best hand with 2 6s.
He made a mistake He made a mistake
Bill Smith's hand called his hand a straight, but actually he's only got 2 6s. I believe he's overlooked his whole card. The 5th card, the 10 of spades, that made Stewie a flush.
And Bill Smith is out, and now we're down to 4. Only 4 left, going for the big money in the World Series of Poker. The winning hand is the flush, and Ungar is still defending his title. Well, the No Limit Hold'em is well underway, and the next time we greet you here from Binion's Horseshoe in downtown Las Vegas, we'll be down to the final table of No Limit Hold'em, which will decide the World Championship of Poker. And how's it gone in the first part of it?
So far, it's proved to be the most exciting tournament ever. We started out with 9 tables. We've melted down to 1 table now. The structure of the game is accelerated every 2 hours over the last period of days. So super exciting tournament, and look to see big pots tomorrow.
Remember, $750,000 in prize money in this Hold'em game, and the winner will go away $375,000. Cover more action of the World Series of Poker. With me, Bobby Baldwin, the 1978 world champion, and an expert in all these events. We started with 75 entries, and now we're down to just a few. This is real pressure on these competitors.
Well, we started off with 75 players, $750,000 in the tournament. We actually started with 9 tables. Now we've taken that and compressed it all into 1 table. So the $750,000 is among 9 players at the final table. We started off anteing $10. Now the players are anteing hundreds and hundreds of dollars. So the game has accelerated tenfold since the beginning day. So we'll see a lot of action today. The chips will be moving fast.
And we'll be back now to pick up the action of the World Series of Poker right after this message. We're down to the final 4 of the big event of the World Series of Poker, the No Limit Hold'em. $750,000 in the pot. The winner will take half, and the first one to go out here of this final 4 will finish 4th, and the worst he can do is come out of the event with $37,500. So here's a way to stand, and let's start with the man in 4th place right now from Dallas, Mr. Ken Smith, and he has $86,000 in his pot. So you have to come from behind, Ken. What do you think your chances are?
I'm going to win it. I'll catch a hand or half a hand and go.
What a player.
All right. What a player!
Gene Fisher. Gene Fisher from El Paso. He's running 3rd right now with $110,000 in his pot. A lot of pressure on you. You make more money decisions here in a couple of hours than most people make in a lifetime.
Yeah, well, I kind of like my chances. I know Stewie and I are glad that this is not a wrestling match. But anyway, I do like my chances, and just kind of everybody's going to be trying to steal these chips, and just kind of whoever can get lucky at this point, I think.
I tell you guys, don't lack confidence. From Anchorage, Alaska, the man who plays poker with the Indians and the Eskimos up there, he was in the lead for a while, and then he sort of dropped back. He's in 2nd place now, $216,000. Perry, Green, what are your chances?
My chances are 1 in 4, and I've been lucky the whole tournament. I played fairly well to get here, and I want to win it and go up back to Alaska and play a game I really know called Deuce Guberok, which in Eskimo is Deuces Wild.
Okay. And the leader right now, the youngest player in the tournament, the defending champion, defending world champ, Stu Ungar, who now lives in Las Vegas out of New York City. You're in the lead. Can you hold it?
I feel I got a good chance to win it. These are all tough players, but I feel I'm a favorite right now to win it.
All right, there they are, the final four, and here we go for the world title. Good luck, gentlemen. Good luck. Well, the World Series of Poker, of course, with me in the commentary is Bobby Baldwin, the 1978 world champ, and he's an expert on all aspects of the game. We started with 75 players, and we're down to just 4. Hold'em is the form of poker being played. Describe Hold'em to our viewers, Bobby.
Well, Hold'em is what we call the Cadillac of all poker games. It's a derivation of 7-card stud. You get 2 whole cards down, and there's a bet. Then the dealer turns 3 cards up in the center, and there's another bet. And then a 4th and 5th card in the center of the table. And the 5 cards in the center are the community cards, and they're used by each player to make the best 5-card high hand.
Now, a lot of fans have never heard of 7-card Hold'em. It's popular mostly in the southwestern part of America, isn't it?
That's true, Kurt. Texas is a big Hold'em state. A lot of no limit in Texas. Most of the poker around the country is of a limit nature. The reason why they use no limit to determine the world champion is the fact that no limit poker itself and no limit Hold'em uses all the different aspects of the game of poker itself, the bluffing aspects and things that don't really come into play in limit type structure poker games.
Is there a lot of bluffing here in the World Series of Poker?
Oh, certainly. There's a lot of bluffing going on. People bet a lot of money on very small hands. Sometimes large pots are won with next to nothing, maybe 2 4s or 2 5s.
Here's an example of a large pot. This is Perry Green of Anchorage, Alaska, one of the final 4. He's coming up with a lot of chips, and when he shoves them in, what would you estimate right here on one hand would be in this pot?
Well, already in the center of the table, in the center of the pot, there's approximately 200,000, maybe more. And Mr. Green has raised, let's look at it in a minute, 182,000 roughly, somewhere in that neighborhood. That'll give you the idea of the power of the money involved in this tournament and how much bluffing may be going on. We don't even know whether his bet will be called or not.
What are the value of the chips?
Well, the red chips are $1,000 chips, and the gray ones are $500 chips. A total of $750,000 worth of chips are remaining among the 4 finalists.
And the high hand wins. In other words, a straight flush is the best hand, running it on down, huh?
A royal flush all the way down to a single pair. So it's the same rules apply as any form of high poker.
Here's the defending champ, Stu Ungar. He may be the man to watch. He's made a comeback. He's 27 years old. He's from New York. And right now, though, there's a leader. That's Perry Green, and the Furrier, who plays poker with the Eskimos up in Alaska. And I'm intrigued by the decisions that are made by these players. They make money decisions, and he's folding now. He's made a decision to fold. They have to make big money decisions every few minutes.
Well, he surrendered that $200,000 that was in the center of the pot, so he wouldn't have to call the other $182,000 that Mr. Green had raised him. So you can see the pressure these players are playing underneath.
All right, let's analyze the situation. Little Stu Ungar had taken the lead with over 300,000. Perry Green was second, and now Perry's getting hot. How do you look at the final 4?
Well, it looks like to me the lead's changed since the dinner break. Perry looks like he's got the 350, and Stewie's got the 250. So it's going to be a muscle back and forth between Stewie and Perry Green. With Gene Fisher and Ken Smith from Dallas, Texas, they'll be trying to shuffle around with 3rd and 4th place. Now, anything can happen in the game. Anybody can come from any position and win. But I look to see Stewie and possibly Perry Green in the final. But like I said, anything can happen. That's why they call it Hold'em.
All right, we'll be back here to the World Series of Poker right after this message. All right, we're back at the 12th Annual World Series of Poker, and we're down to the final 4 players. We're picking up the action now, and right now, Gene Fisher and Ken Smith are locked in combat. That's Ken Smith with a high hat. He's from Dallas, Texas, and he is coming on with a bet, and it looks like a pretty fair bet here.
Looks like he's going to move two rows of gray chips in the pot. Now remember, those are $500 chips, so that's $20,000 total he's raising this pot.
Now, he's quite a chess player, they tell me, Bobby.
He is a master chess player. He's written several books, very talented.
This is Gene Fisher. of El Paso. Boy, he looks like a dude. Look at this poker face on Ken Smith.
What a stare. Boy, that'd melt anybody down.
All right, now Gene has to make a decision here, Gene Fisher. And looks like he's ready for action.
Well, Gene's a solid player. Well, you can tell he's from the South. What a dynamic-looking outfit and hat he's got on.
Now, he's got a pair of nines as his hole cards, a 9 of diamonds and a 9 of clubs. A pair of nines wired underneath.
Well, that's a pretty strong hand in this game, and at this time in the tournament, I'm sure he's going to play him fast. It looks like he's not only going to call the 20,000, but he's going to raise it. Look at Ken Smith sitting back there relaxed, just counting the chips and wonder what Gene's going to bet.
This is a sizable raise.
Oh, very substantial raise. This is going to be a key pot for either player.
This raise is going to be, what, around $40,000, $50,000?
It looks like about a $50,000 raise.
And he's going to be all in after this raise.
It's a lot of money to bet on 2 nines, but I think he's really taking a stand here.
Well, this now will force a big decision by Ken Smith, and Ken is ready for the decision.
Well, you can see there he's got the ace-jack of clubs now. He may not feel like he's got the best hand at this point, but that makes no difference in many cases in high-stakes poker, especially no-limit hold'em. He's got the 20, 30,000 in the pot. He's pretty much committed. Even though he doesn't have the best hand at this point, there's a good chance he can draw out on the 2 nines. Now, he doesn't know what Gene's got, but he's got a pretty good hand, the ace-jack of clubs.
So once you get that money committed, you hate to walk away from it, and then you're looking for lady luck to help you.
That's exactly right. You can't get all your children out in the middle of the pot and let them drown. You've got to take your money out there and try to save them.
Big pot here. Now, here comes the flop, Bobby.
Oh, 9 of hearts, king, 6 of spades. 3 nines, Gene's turn on the turn.
So Gene has 3, and he's got another king up there.
Another king, a full house. So, Gene Fisher, instead of being eliminated from the tournament, has won a huge pot here and put Ken Smith in deep trouble. He's only got a few thousand left.
But that puts Gene Fisher in a much better position now to enter some big pots and stay in. You know, we talked to Gene earlier about the late going and the strategy of the play here in the World Series.
All those people have a chance, and they keep raising the ante all the time, so I think people are continually amazed at what weak hands win some of these big pots.
Yeah.
And it's simply for this reason, I think, that you have to get in there and play, with what you have.
As we look at the table now in the final 4, you can see that Perry Green's in the lead. I'd say he had probably, Bobby, around $350,000 in chips. Stu Ungar's behind him, and then Gene Fisher and Ken Smith. And they have the heat on them because these 2 leaders really have a big pile of chips in front of them to force the issue in many cases. Now here's a bet coming up. Looks like another head-on. That's Fisher folding, and Stu Ungar and Perry Green are going to go at it again.
Well, Perry's bet him 12,000. Stewie's calling. Let's see what Ken Smith does from Dallas, Texas. He's on short money. This might be a good place for him. No, he's out. So it's Perry Green and Stu Ungar once again, head on.
And the flop here, Bobby.
2 aces and a tray. That's a big turn. They both checked.
There's 4th Street card coming up, and that's another tray.
Another tray. 2 pair on the board. Any ace will make a full house. But we see here Stewie's got an ace-queen, so he's got aces full of queens.
He has an ace-queen in the hole, so he has a full house.
That's right. He's going to use
aces over trades.
He's going to use the community cards on the board. He's going to use 2 of the aces on the board and 2 trays. So he's got aces full of trays, and he's bet him. 25,000 he bet Perry.
All right, Perry Green, the Furrier from Anchorage, Alaska. Right now, the leader in this World Series of Poker is going to answer the bet.
He's called the 25,000. As you can see, Perry's got an ace also. He's got an ace-king, so they both have aces full of trays. 2 full houses on the same deal. The 5th card, the deuce of hearts, didn't help either player.
But they don't know that they each have the same hand, right?
No, they've got a tie pot, but they don't know it. Stewie pretty confident. I don't blame him with aces full. That's a huge hand in hold'em or any form of high-stakes poker game.
Ooh, look at this.
50,000 he's going to bet Perry.
We are approaching a mammoth pot. Look at that look on Perry Green.
What a huge pot this can be.
Look at that. Sort of like a basset hound.
Well, Perry's got aces full, and he knows that Stewie probably can't beat that. He probably suspects Stewie's got a tie, but they just don't know at this point.
One of them could have 4 threes. There's 2 threes up on the board, and Stu could have a pair of trays in the hole.
If you had 2 trays in the hole, you'd have 4 trays and beat the aces full. But it's awful big hand.
Perry Green is coming back. He's calling the $50,000 bet of Stu Ungar.
Looky there, Kurt. He's going to raise it $65,000. He told the dealer, I'm raising it $65,000 more. So now he's back on Stewie again with this tie pot.
We are now, around $300,000 or $400,000 in this pot on the table?
$300,000 or $400,000 already in the hand. The hand's not even complete yet. I'm sure Stewie's going to call the $65,000, but I don't know what else he could do. Ace is full. He's going to raise it. So now he's going to raise the bet.
Well, if Perry, and he has to with the amount of money he's got in there, answers this raise, we're going to have around $550,000 in this pot. Just think of that. Over $500,000 in one pot in this World Series of Poker, and the business decisions being made here in just 2 or 3, 4 minutes of time.
Well, I'm sure this hand, even though it looks like it's going to be a tie hand, is the largest pot in the 12 years history of the World Series of Poker.
Yep.
And if you're going to split a pot, you might as well split a big one.
We'll be back here in Binion's Horseshoe in downtown Las Vegas as the 12th annual World Series of Poker continues. We pick up the action again now as the final 4 players are jockeying for position. What are the antes now, Bobby?
Well, each player is entering $1,000, and they're blinding it for $2,000 and $4,000. So the game's accelerated quite a bit.
If you get in the game and fold, every hand is an expensive proposition for you.
Oh, certainly so. Every time the deal passes you, you're ending off $8,000 to $10,000, whether you enter a pot or not.
All right, here's Ken Smith with a high hat from Dallas, Texas, and he's coming in this hand.
Well, Ken had to take a position. He's been low on money here for quite some time. Perry Green, he's going to call the $21,000. Boy, Perry's been on almost every hand.
I was going to say that. He doesn't back off from anything. Well, look at the pile of chips he has.
Well, when they get most of the chips surrounded in 1 or 2 parts of the table, the players seem to play awfully fast with them.
And Gene Fisher of El Paso, Texas is calling.
He's called the $21,000. They thought Gene was out of it earlier, but he's made a big comeback and is in good contention for the title. Well, it's a good chance for Ken Smith to triple his money here and get him back in contention. Let's see what the flop comes up this time.
Ooh.
2 aces and a king. 2 aces have hit the board quite a bit today. Perry Green quickly bet $20,000. Ken Smith's all in and out of money at this point, so he's betting $20,000 at Gene Fisher.
Now Perry has an ace-jack in the hole.
Yeah, Perry's turned
Jack.
3 aces. He's got an ace and a jack. Let's see what Gene Fisher does here.
He folds.
Gene folds. He just thought Perry might have an ace.
And Ken Smith has a queen-jack in the hole.
Well, Ken needs to catch a 10 to make a straight, or he'll be eliminated here. An ace fell, made Perry 4 aces.
4 aces, and Ken Smith is out of it from Dallas, Texas. And now we're down to 3. You know, the manager of this World Series of Poker is Eric Drake, and I talked to Eric about luck in this tournament. I really wanted to know what kind of a factor luck played in the tourney.
Poker there is a large degree of luck involved. Even though in the long run, if we played 100 straight days, I would assume that the best player would eventually win the most money. However, in a relatively short period of time, 2, 3, or 4 days for a tournament, absolutely anyone has a chance. It might be a 200 to 1 underdog, but that's still a chance to win.
And 3 players have a chance now as the field is further reduced by 1. We have 3 men left out of the 75 who started. There's the leader, Perry Green of Anchorage, and he's battling again with a man almost right alongside of him, the defending champ, Stu Ungar, and Gene Fisher. Those are the 3 left. And here's a big bet coming up by Perry Green, Bobby.
Well, it looks like Perry's bet almost $80,000.
He has an ace, a spades, and a queen of diamonds in the hole. And here's the defending champ, Stu Ungar, and Stu has a king of hearts and a king of spades, a pair of kings in the hole.
Well, I'm sure this is going to be proved to be a huge pot because this is the type of hand Stewie's been waiting on all day. 2 kings, terrific hand. He's announced to the dealer he's going to raise him back, so Stewie looks like he's going to call the 80,000 and raise all in. So this is a do-or-die situation for the young champion.
And deep study by the furrier from Anchorage, Alaska, Perry Green, as he looks at that amount of chips being shoved in front of him.
Well, this is a common situation that's come up earlier in the tournament. He's got 80,000 in the pot now. Stewie's raised him an additional 120,000. Perry's got an ace-queen. That's good enough to go with, and I think he's going to go with it.
Perry Green again, an ace-queen in the hole. Stu Ungar has a pair of kings in the hole as we wait for the flop.
Now, if Stewie loses this pot, he'll be eliminated from the tournament and finish in third place. But third place isn't bad. It pays 75,000.
So he's all in. He shoved his chips in.
It's showdown from here on out. Let's see what the flop has. Wow, an ace, 5, and a 10. So Perry made 2 aces on the turn. The king of diamonds makes Stewie 3 kings. Now Perry needs to make a straight or a flush or he'll lose this pot.
He says, give me that card. He doesn't get it. Stu Ungar wins it with 3 kings. And that should be a turning point for him and put him in the lead.
Well, this lead's changed hands several times between the same 2 players, Stu Ungar and the furrier from Alaska. Look at the gallery, what excitement they've had.
And look at Perry, he's moving. He didn't like that position he was in, and he wants a little luck going with him, although he's had some real lucky hands throughout this tournament, or he wouldn't be where he was.
Maybe he feels like he's drained all the luck out of that chair and wants a new one for the finals.
Well, that could be, Bobby. 3 players left in the World Series of Poker. 2 in commanding spots, and the fellow in the red shirt and the cowboy hat, Gene Fisher, is under the gun now. He doesn't have a lot of chips left, and he's about to make his last stand, I believe, because here he is coming up with a bet.
Well, he's brought it in for 4,000. Stewie's called, and of course Perry's looking at his hole cards now. He says, turn the flop, dealer.
Couple of kings in there in that flop.
2 kings and a 4 and a 7. 3 spades out there.
Fisher has a king and a 9 in the hole. Perry has a 10 of spades and an 8 of hearts in the hole.
Well, what's happened here is Perry's bluffed at the pot. He knows Gene's low on money, so he bet all the chips that Gene's got left, hoping to win the pot right there. But Gene's got 3 kings and has trapped Perry on this hand, so Perry's got to catch a spade or Gene's going to win the pot with 3 kings.
Spade will make him a flush, huh?
Spade will make him a flush. It's the only way to win.
He got it.
What a day it's been for Perry Green.
Oh, he's hit a lot of those last card choices that he needed badly. He's nodding his head, and I guess moving the chair helps him, huh?
Well, he moved into a luckier seat, made a spade flush, and beat 3 kings, and now we're down to 2.
2 players are left, going for the first prize money of $375,000. So it's Stu Ungar down at the end there, the little fella, 27 years old, the defending world champ. And from Anchorage, Alaska, the furrier, Perry Green. Green, to me, looks like, he's what, 300 and maybe a little over $400,000?
He's got the lead by a slight margin at this point, but anything can happen. This is when the real excitement starts, when they get down to 2 players.
All right, what happens now? Head-to-head, does the strategy change?
Oh, definitely so. They double the blinds, and the pace of the game accelerates.
Remember, $750,000 in prize money in this Hold'em game, and the winner will go away $375,000. Bobby, we're down to the final table. What size of big pot might we see?
Oh, I'm sure we'll see multiple pots over 100,000.
Could we get up to $250,000 in some pots?
In the end game, the final hand will probably range 300,000 or 400,000 or more.
Whew. Glad I don't have to make those decisions, but the players do, and they're going to be making them at the final table, and here we go. And then there were 2. The big shootout at the World Series of Poker. The defending champ, 27-year-old Stu Ungar at the end of the table facing you. He has $440,000 in chips. Here's Perry Green from Anchorage, Alaska, furrier, and he has $310,000 in chips. I think we can look for some really big pots early on in this head-to-head meeting between these 2. $375,000 for the winner, $150,000 for the runner-up to the title. And we're going to be right back now with the final twosome after this word. We're back to the World Series of Poker in Las Vegas. Besides winning $375,000 for first prize, the winner will have his picture added to the Gallery of Champions. Now, this is one of 14 tournaments that's been held here this month. This is no limit, 7-card hold'em. The premise of the game, Bobby.
Well, basically, no limit hold'em is similar to 7-card stud. Each player gets 2 whole cards down, and then 3 cards appear on the flop. There's a betting interval there. The dealer deals off a 4th card. The players have their option to bet again there, and then a 5th and final card, and the players complete the pot and complete the hand. The cards in the center of the table are community cards, and it's high poker.
So they're selecting 5 of the 7 cards to use for the best hand, and the straight flush of the winner. On down, the same rules for any high poker game. A little capsule here. Give me a scouting report. Stu Ungar.
Well, Stu Ungar is the youngest gym player in the world and the best gym player in the world, and certainly he's shown how strong he is at the game of poker. Perry's a little ahead at this point, but anything can happen in this game. Stewie very aggressive.
I read Doyle's book.
Doyle's book. He's talking about the famous player Doyle Brunson, who's sitting over there in back of him. You see him with the glasses and the blue and white shirt.
That's right.
Perry Green, an interesting man. I visited with him and found out how he got on to playing high-stakes poker.
Poker prefers. You play a lot of poker played in Alaska?
Well, I play with the Indians and Eskimos when I'm out fur buying, but generally I work 6 days a week, 12 hours a day. Pretty hard to mix it up, you know. Playing poker has been described as a hard way to make an easy living. Well, this tournament is a hard way to make a hard living, I'll tell you. I mean, when you're playing no limit, check and raise, and there's thousands on every bet, and re-raise and check and double raise, and you just have to give 105% of whatever it is. You got to be Pete Rose, that's all.
Pete Rose of the poker table. Perry Green and Stu Ungar, and we pick up the action now. Perry's made his opening bet, Bobby.
Well, he's brought the pot in for $16,000. Young Stewie there at the end of the tables called the $16,000, and he's raised Perry. Let's see how much he's raised Perry. Raised Perry $40,000 more. Looks like Perry's going to see the flop with him.
This is going to be some pot, I have a hunch.
Well, anytime you have 2 players with $112,000 in the pot before they even see the up cards, it's going to be quite a pot.
All right, now we'll have the flop coming up. And there it is, Jack 9-8, 2 clubs up there. Perry has in the hole the 10 and deuce of clubs, and Stu has in the hole the ace of clubs and jack of clubs, and there are 2 clubs in the flop, so 1 more club for each of them, they'd have a club flush, right?
Well, Stewie's let off and bet $40,000, and Perry's moving in all this money. This is what happens in no limit hold'em when you're using community cards in the center of the table. They both think they have a super strong hand. Perry has a super strong draw. He's got 2 ways to make a straight and a 4-card flush draw. Stewie's got the top pair of 2 jacks with an ace-high flush draw.
So right now, Stu has the best hand.
Oh, he certainly does. I don't think Stewie's going to hesitate a moment to call this money. If Stewie does call this will be the largest pot in the history of the World Series of Poker.
And this is the 12th year of the World Series of Poker, and here it comes. And this pot now is going to be $554,000. No wonder they're getting up.
Yeah?
10 deuce the club?
Yeah.
And deuce of clubs. Here's the 4th card up. A jack, that's 3 jacks for Stu Ungar. And no club shows on that 5th card, and Ungar wins the largest pot in the history of the World Series of Poker, $554,000.
Wait a minute now.
All right, Stu Ungar sitting right now on top, chance to win his 2nd world title in a row. He could knock him out here in another hand or 2, but if Perry could pick up a couple of small pots, he can strengthen his position, and Perry's coming in.
All right.
Perry's going to call. Stewie's raised at $16,000. Perry's going to call it and see the flop.
Okay.
There's the flop, 10 of clubs and 2 hearts, the queen and the 4. And Stu's going to make a bet.
Well, Stewie's got the bulk of the chips right now. He's going to try to use them to his advantage. Try to move Perry out of the pots if he can.
Keep driving on him, in other words.
Keep pounding. Perry's announced that he's going to raise it. It's one thing about Perry, he never gives up. Stewie bet him $30,000 without even flinching. He just says, I'm going to raise it, and raises all his chips.
He's putting it all in. If he loses his hand, the tournament is over.
He's raised Stewie $180,000.
$180,000 raise. Look at Stu, look at the chips, mentally counting them. Now his psychology, I guess, is to go in there, and if he could win this pot, it's all over. On the other hand, if he loses, he would let Perry really sort of back in this thing, wouldn't he?
Well, what's happened to Stewie? He's taken a commanding position in the game. He's got a lot more chips than Perry's got at this point. But Perry's bet him $180,000, and he may have a marginal type hand that he just doesn't know whether he wants to go with it or not.
Keeps looking at those hole cards. They never change, do they?
No, he'd check them back. Maybe he's forgot what he's got, or just double check what he does have. I know Stewie in his heart really wants to call this bet. He'd like to end this tournament right here.
Boy, look at the shadows over the eyes.
That's a solid poker face.
The jewelry you see a lot of the poker players wear, and all of his chips are on the table now. Stu doesn't know what to do.
Well, he seems to really be on the borderline in this hand.
Full cards again.
Well, he's thinking to himself maybe he might wait until get a little better hand next time. You just really don't know. He's right on the edge of calling.
Let's put the clock on it.
Uh-oh, he asked for the clock. Explain that now.
Well, it's just like football. If you delay the game, the opponents can call for a stopwatch, which gives you 70 seconds to act on your hand. Now, if you haven't acted on your hand in the time allotted, the opponent automatically wins the pot.
I don't think Stu liked that when he asked for the clock. And he folds. He is folded, and that really helps Perry Green.
Don't ask me no more.
Oh, what do you mean doing
He
it?
asked him what he had, and he wouldn't answer, and he said, don't ask me anymore.
And they were both
Well, the tempers flare a little bit.
Nerve endings are showing.
I had two pairs. 10s and 4s. Huh? 10s and 4s.
We'll be back in Binion's Casino, downtown Las Vegas. The 12th annual World Series of Poker continues right after this message.
Getting up to where I'm respectable, I think.
That's right. Perry Green has made a comeback. The furrier from Alaska. He now has $250,000 worth of chips. A couple of decent hands could give him the advantage once again. And defending champ Stu Ungar has $500,000 in chips. Remember, the first player to lose all his chips is out, and the other one's the winner. A mistake at this point could be fatal for either player. This is the 12th World Series of Poker in Las Vegas. And Bobby Baldwin, you've been through this. I imagine stamina is very important, isn't it?
Oh, certainly so. One of the worst things that can happen to you in a world championship or any tournament is to catch a cold or be slightly ill. You not only have to be mentally alert and physically alert, but you just have to be razor sharp to compete in this kind of competition.
You're making big decisions all the time.
Well, one mistake in a no-limit game can end you for the game. I mean, you just can't make mistakes in high-limit poker.
All right, a new deal is coming up. Stu Ungar in the lead, 27 years old, from New York, who now lives in Las Vegas. Perry Green's from Anchorage, Alaska. And here are the hole cards coming up.
I wanted to gamble.
Well, Perry's got a king and a jack, bet $16,000. Stewie, with no hesitation, calls the $16,000. They're going to see the flop together this time.
Pretty good looking flop.
Two queens and a jack. Perry's flopped two pair. Stewie's checked. Perry bet a stack of $1,000 chips, $20,000 in all. Look here, Stewie's got a queen and a 7 in the hole.
Well, he has 3 queens right now. He has the best hand.
He's turned a powerhouse. But look how he's playing it. He's just calling the $20,000.
What's the strategy behind that?
Well, sometimes you want to try to sneak these big hands in. You don't want to run anybody off. And I think that's what Stewie's trying to do here. They both checked on the 4th card, and Stewie's made a full house on the last card.
Now, will he shove them all in there, or let's see how he bets it.
Well, he could try to win the tournament right here by forcing all his chips in the pot. But no, Stewie doesn't do it. He just bets 40,000.
He's trying to force Perry to play the hand.
Apparently, he's just trying to milk him out of the 40,000.
And he did it. Now, there was some real discipline by Stu Ungar. He played that one very smartly, and discipline's very important. I talked to a man named Crandall Addington, the best-dressed man in this tournament, about mental discipline in poker.
That's right.
I think poker is probably a microcosm of life, Kurt. I think the same disciplines are required in poker to be a successful player that are required to be a successful businessman or to make your way successfully through life in whatever area you're pursuing.
Explain that to me. Self-discipline?
That's the key factor, self-discipline. You'll find that all the great no-limit players have this discipline about them. One of the reasons that I wear a coat and tie when I play is to remind myself to remain disciplined. Over long periods of time, you'll find that sometimes your attention drifts a little bit. And as long as I'm suited as I am, it reminds me. It's a little stimuli that I have that touches me.
The world's best poker player title means more to these players than the money. Getting your picture in the gallery of champions is the ultimate goal. Here's the first amateur to make it, Hal Fowler, 1979 winner. Doyle Brunson is the last player to make it 2 years in a row. He won in 76 and 77. Bobby Baldwin, my partner here, won it in 1978. Johnny Moss, the grand old man of the game, the only one to make it 3 times. Amarillo Slim Preston, probably the most famous professional poker player in the world, was the 1972 champ. And he has a pretty healthy outlook on life and gambling. And we talked to Slim about it.
Love every bit of it. I wouldn't trade 3 days of this life for 20 years in the best penitentiary in the whole world.
You like action, don't
Why,
you? Action.
Lord, yeah, how can you beat the way we live? Huh?
I don't
This
know how
is
you-
good.
Huh?
This is good. This is fun. We go everywhere we want to go. Foreign countries, new places, leading hotels. And I hear these fellas, I start to say fools, scream about how unlucky they are. That's not luck. You make your own luck in life. I don't care what your endeavor is. In my area, I hear a bunch of these rich farmers sitting around squeaking. You know what I tell them? You'd spend more time in the field plowing, less time here at the golf course. You'd be luckier.
This is Sailor Roberts. He won the event in 1975. Puggy Pearson, the epitome of the professional poker player, won in 1973. Young Stu Ungar was the 1980 winner. The question now is whether we'll add 1981 under Stu's name or whether Perry Green's picture will go there in the Hall of Champs. We'll find out after this.
Bill, you got a lot of chips, dude. Huh? You got a lot of chips.
Kurt Gowdy with Bobby Baldwin. We get down to the conclusion now. The 12th Annual World Series of Poker. Stu Ungar has built up a substantial lead. He now has a pile of chips of $600,000. Of course, Perry Green's always a threat. He's aggressive. However, he has $150,000 in chips. The blind bets have increased to $4,000 and $8,000. And it's going to take a lot of those bets for Perry to steal his way back. But look at Stu. He looks fatigued, Bobby.
Well, Stewie's a little tired. He may make a few mistakes here, but I don't look for... Stewie's used to playing long hours.
Perry can't afford to lose these blinds at $8,000 a crack.
No, they'll wear him down in a hurry.
There's a flop on this hand, not much.
Deuce, 6 and a 7, 3 little cards. Perry said those are his kind of cards and bets 20,000. Well, Stewie hadn't let the hammer down. He's called the 20,000 and raised it 40,000 more. Perry decides not to race with this hand.
He'll have to really look for a reasonable hand in which to come in and commit all of his chips if he's to turn this game around, won't he?
Oh, certainly. It's going to take a big flip-flop to turn it around for Perry.
there, Stewie. Give me 5,000.
Look at there, Kurt. Perry's getting a little change, changing up some $1,000 chips, a little something to do.
Anything to break the tension.
Very intense at this point.
All right, let's see how this hand goes. Stu Ungar sitting right on the edge of winning his second world title in a row, and there's a bet by Perry.
Perry brought it in for $16,000. Well, as you can see there, Stewie's hole cards, the ace, queen of hearts. Powerful cards in Hold'em. Stewie's announced a raise. $25,000, Kirk. $25,000 more to Perry Green. Well, as you can see, Perry's got a 10 and a 9 in the hole. He's to the point where he's got to play this pot. $100,000 in the pot before the turn.
And here comes a flop.
Oh, what a flop. The 4, 8, and a 7 and 2 hearts. That makes Stewie a 4-card flush to draw at. It looks like he's weighing up Perry here.
He's going after him. He's after the kill now.
He's moving in for the kill. All of it. $100,000 he bet.
And Perry said, I'm going to play.
I don't blame him. He's got an open end straight. He might catch a 10 or a 9.
You got a hard flush.
I can have a hard flush.
Well, I mean, to
You
draw.
got 2 hearts?
Don't even have one.
I can have a hard flush. There's only 2 out there.
1, 2, 3, 40. What do you bet?
100.
50. Okay. 70. 78.
What do you got?
He had $78,000 left in chips.
But I got a draw.
And he said, I've got to draw for it. Stu has the best hand right now. And they sense it. Look at the crowd. If Perry Green loses his hand, it's all over, and Stu Ungar repeats as a world champion of poker.
Move the checks away.
Here comes the 4th card up.
Nine, 10, 6, 2. 9,
4
10,
clubs. No help to Perry.
9, 10, 6, 2.
And the queen does it. Queens and 4s, a winning hand for Stu Ungar, and he repeats as the world champion of poker. What a tournament. That's the winner.
And a child shall lead him. 27-year-old Stu Ungar has again won the World Championship of Poker 2 years in a row. What are the odds on that, winning it?
It's awful big.
Successive years.
Very tough to win it. It's got to be play awful lucky in key situations.
75 of the best poker players in America came in here. What's been your secret these 2 years?
I just waited. I out. I had a lot of bad streaks in it, and I tried to just hang on until I got one good streak and then play it out. I won $300,000 in about an hour when I was down to $30,000. That was it.
How about the winner here?
Well, you know, I think he's a great player, and I think if one of the hands had just broken, if I'd have caught a red 7 or even a 10 paired, or even, you know, just something like that on one hand, I had him all in twice. And, of course, he had the legitimate draw, and that's why we call it poker and gambling, and best place to do it is at Binion's Horseshoe, because when you win, they love it.
We're going to take a look at the money on the table. Well, there they are, $750,000 on the table that the final 9 finishers will divvy up. Stu Ungar will take $375,000. Perry Green, he's tossing for the coin, will take $150,000. So that's the story of the 12th annual World Series of Poker, and what an event it was, and some hands that will be talked about for years to come. From Binion's Horseshoe Casino, Las Vegas, Nevada, Kurt Gowdy wishing you all so long.